Spy actually has his timer on the layout as a live split timer. That's something I haven't really seen yet. So like
Yeah.
on Kona's end, the
Here we
timer
go.
that you'll see, yeah, we just got off. So the timer that you'll see from each of them is endgame timers. The live split one that Spy is using is the equivalent of the yellow ones that you'll see at the top of each of their screens. So it should be the same, but
Yeah, Live Split, or one of the developers of Live Split, worked with actually Gears for Breakfast to make the Live Split timer work 100% and read directly from the game's memory. So our timer is 100% accurate. So shoutouts to, I think it was Cries who actually worked on that with Jonas. So thank you very much for getting that to work, because that's really helpful for us. Oh, Kona caught a little bit on the fence there. Sub 30, quit making the hat. Damn, Spy.
yeah, this is like 30. Well,
That's a 38. Yeah, that's pretty good.
But yeah, as you can see, like, it seems pretty similar there because their loads have been pretty fine so far, but they could be, like, at the exact same time, but, like, be at different points in the run. So, because we run off of in-game time, which deviates based off of how much time you spend loading. So, like, if one of their loads were all of a sudden to end up going...
Yeah, it seems like Kono's loads are actually slightly better than Spy's, because even though he's behind, he's, like, relatively in the same spot. It's like maybe he has a second or half a second quicker loads than Spy does. In general, right now, it's pretty close. Probably within 10 seconds right now. It's just Spy's got a lot cleaner movement here and there, comparatively to Kona, but he's still keeping up. Oh, that's actually not that. That's a really bad bunk. Spy has to go all the way back up now, so Kona's going to gain a lot of ground now. He's actually ahead, so Spy with a little bit of a slip up. That's actually a really easy bonk, to be honest. Like, you could easily just dive too quickly off the balloon and just bonk. Oh, so Kona's got a little bit of room to play with here. It seems to be about 3 seconds from what I can tell. I think Kona had some decent RNG on the pawn counts from Thor. It wasn't really that much different, and Spy had about the same, so they don't really have to deviate for extra pawns here. Yeah. Yep, so Kona entering, or finishing at least outer space with 3 seconds ahead, so managed to swap positions for a little bit. Oh, there you go. You can definitely see at least the very crisp movement that Spy has comparatively to Kona, or Kona's movement isn't necessarily bad to say that, it's just more Spy's got definitely some small optimizations here to there, and he's able to get back a little bit of ground. So let's see, 326 on hitting the ground with the barrel. Yeah, so Spy made up about 2 seconds with just that small optimization of movement there, so in a game like Hat, at the top tier, optimization is entirely key.
Do not think about avoiding barrels.
Kona, what are you doing with your hats?
Stand still.
Okay, I've returned. Sorry about that.
You have returned, Flare. Welcome back. Let's say I don't know how much you were watching, but Spy managed to showcase really crisp movement and was able to make up 2 of the 3 seconds just on movement alone. So it's like 24 grabbing that.
They're very close. They're like...
yeah, Spy actually just is ahead by like half a second at this point.
Yeah, Kona lost like a half second to him at the very end.
Yeah. And so Spy is starting to showcase that high tier movement. Oh, I'm looking at the... I was wondering... Okay, I was looking at the wrong feed for a second. Didn't even get Mustache Girl in frame when he entered. Like,
yeah, that was a pretty crispy entrance.
That's crispy.
Pretty good for
Same
Kona,
with Kona too. Yeah, Kona got it as well. Yeah, Spy's really starting to gain some ground here with the small optimizations. Like, even that was super good. Had, like, no hesitation getting off the light onto the wood. Wow, the bucket is on by, like, a couple pixels. Spy is really cutting it close with that.
Yeah, that button can have, like, really weird interactions.
If you...
like...
It's if you get on the button, if you trigger the button, the bucket, you get off the button, and then the bucket lands on the button, it can, like, glitch out like crazy. It's ridiculous. They were like that in beta. Also, Spy having beautiful fight skip. Kona's going for it, too. This should be relatively easy for Kona as well.
Kona's getting a little extra wall climbs, but he still makes it over just fine.
Yeah, that was still really good.
It still saves a couple seconds, even if not done optimally, because it is a decently fast trick.
And now I have to count sandbags.
Yeah. Basically, like, the reason they jump up on the ceiling is because they're jumping over a bunch of triggers that start different things, such as cutscenes and fights and stuff like that, so if you're able to make it over, you can just skip straight to the boss. Which, this boss is pretty simple to execute, but can still be a pretty big run killer a lot of the time. There are 2 attacks, or like 2 things that he can do that are completely out of your control that save or lose times. Like this attack right here, obviously you can't hit him during that, and he can do it anywhere from 2 to 4 times throughout the fight.
Yeah, I think Kona's already gotten it twice before phase 2, so he's guaranteed a minimum of 3 sandbags. I don't know how many Spy got, but I think he got, it looks like he got maybe 2. Oh, he got the, yeah, and then he just got the good skip. If you hold the brewer, if you get the brewer hat in this fight, stand in the right corner, hold the potion in your hand. When he tries to kick you out because you're too close to him, you just get stuck behind him because of the potion bottle, and then he just jumps off stage, or jumps through the stage, I should say. Just jumps through, and then just falls out of bound and dies, because the kill plane out of bounds is actually really close to the map, so he just dies, like, immediately. It's great. There's another version of it where if he's on the right side already, he has to be on the left and then jump to the right for the quicker version to happen. If you're already on the right, instead of him jumping through the stage, he'll, like, rise up in the middle of the Mafia Ball attack a little bit, and then when the ball starts moving, he'll fall through the stage and die. So that's, like, a good few seconds right there if you set it up wrong. Oh, can you go for the dunk? Nice dunk.
Yeah, they're gonna have a little bit of route difference here. Spy is going into the time rift, but I believe Kona's going straight for the ticket dupe.
No, he's going for Rift.
Okay, yeah, they both do Rift first. That's from what I've seen, the less common option, so...
Oh, Kona was close. Well, the Rift and the Vault can be interchangeable. It's one of those where it really doesn't make that big a difference if you do it first versus last, because in both of them you're collecting some pawns anyway, so that way you can do Heating Up Mafia Town. Yeah,
the only difference, like, picking one of those levels to do first changes is, how easy it is for you to keep track of having 100 pawns by the end of the second of the 2 levels that you do.
Yeah. Like, at least in my runs, I do the Golden Vault first, so that way I can get all the pawns on the way, and then when I do the Time Rift, I know if I need to grab any extra, I can grab them on the way, because there's a couple extra on the roof, but they had enough that they could skip a few. It's just more about knowing, oh, there's Kona's record, so there's his, he's gonna get a slight time loss here.
So, Spy is now jumping off of a really tall tower. What he's gonna do is get himself in fall damage right next to that ticket, and what that does is if you collect some collectibles like tickets while in iframes, you get 2 of them. Oh, no, yeah, he's going for another one here with the torch. Jumped right past it.
Yeah, that one's free because there's just a torch within there, so you can get a damage source.
Yeah, that one's pretty fortunate.
With the other ones, Okono's not even going for it because it's actually a decently hard trick to get right. But to get enough height, you have to get on that clock tower, and getting on that clock tower is also not easy. So you have to do a complicated platforming movement to get up there, and then off there, do a double jump and a dive as well to get enough height so you take fall damage. So you have to get a lot of height to take fall damage from that, because otherwise Cat Kid will just fall and basically stumble for a little bit, and that's not good. You want to just take the fall damage.
And what I was talking about a little bit ago about like route differences is they needed to make sure that they had 100 pawns by the end of Golden Vault as they were doing all that stuff. So there's a little bit of extras in each of them, which is fortunate because if you're low or high, then you can either like skip some of the extras or take more than you need for a slight time loss.
Yeah, and then Spy is going to be doing a Death Warp in this level. He's doing a couple of Death Warps, so you're going to see him take a lot of intentional damage, like here as well. So he's going to take as much damage as possible, because after he hits the next faucet, which he's heading to right now, he's going to try to die afterwards. That way he can warp up and then go back as well. He's going to do that at least one more time after that. So right here he's going to hit the faucet, and then he's just going to fall in the lava immediately and then die. Oh, he almost slipped off and died there without hitting the faucet. He was very close.
Yeah, what he did, almost falling off at the end, is an optimization that you can go for if you're crazy. It's like, whenever you hit the faucet for the last time, you swing the umbrella as you're falling off of the faucet. That way you don't have to like wait for the swing animation to end and you just start going down immediately. That runs the risk of like walking off too early and like you don't swing the umbrella, and then you either like die or you have to jump back on and swing again, stuff like that.
It's interesting that like even though Hat is like less than a year old, as like even in general just released, not even as a speed game, like it's already crazy what kind of optimizations are starting to come out.
Yeah, he got another Death Warp, and he saved that faucet right there for the end. And that's because you can't Death Warp off of the last faucet, because you would die as this cutscene plays, and that would mess everything up. So, you need to make sure that the last faucet you do, you don't die on, and you actually just walk all the way back. So we leave that one there, because it's so close to the end of the level like you saw.
Yeah, so now Kono's gonna do the same thing. He's gonna get the Death Warp. Most of the time you can actually hear it. I don't think Spies actually did it. There's a weird audio bug with this one where the number 5 will just play like 3 times as loud as normal, and it's really funny. So if you just hate like hearing things, just like do that death trick like several times. Man, this race is still actually really close. There's not that huge of a gap as a lot of other races that have been streamed. Oh, he didn't get the camera bug, darn.
Yeah, if you hit that like time rift orb like from the very top of it, and like your camera will be super messed up because you're super close to the ceiling of that little tunnel, and it'll just fly all over the place while you're entering it. Funny little animation.
Alright, Spy just got a really high speed dive boost there. If you slide off a surface and then hit a ground after you fall off the slope surface, you can get a dive boost that goes a little farther than other dive boosts. That was also really crisp. Like, no mistakes in that at all. Well, also for all intents and purposes of this race, just in case some people haven't watched any of the other races, There's a technique that they're doing throughout the run. Like, if you've run Hat, you'll know what they're doing. Called SDJs. If you sprint and then within a certain timing window, let go of sprint and then jump, you can maintain your sprint speed and then do a double jump as well. Normally, when you sprint, you only get one sort of extra high jump. Like it's a jump that's not meant to go higher than a double jump, but you can keep the sprint speed and then do 2 jumps with that. So they're doing that like all throughout the run. Just something to note. You can't really, unless you like run the game, you can't really tell. Like Kona just did it right there. Unless you like run the game. Oh, I see. Here, this is bag skip, by the way. Hold up.
Yeah, that's an important SGJ right there that he just did. This like little rope that you see him jumping over has like a 50-second cutscene. What he accomplished was like basically he did some sprint jumps onto those branches, and then use that speed from the sprint to SDJ with sprint speed like we were just talking about. Basically, the one way, if you're not used to it, that you can tell if they're like doing SDJs or not, whenever you do a sprint jump, she does a front flip. And whenever she does like a normal jump or an SDJ, she like is still facing forward with like her hands kind of like backwards, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that was a sprint jump.
I don't know if Kona's gonna go for it, but we'll see. Kona's gonna go for bag skip. Nah, he's not gonna go for bag skip.
Yeah, so you can see what he's missing out on here. That's what Spy jumped over.
And then Spy's gonna go for a death skip here. So he's taking a bunch of intentional damage here. And then he grabbed an extra cherry, and he's gonna open this chest for extra yarn, which is used to craft hats. We also didn't mention that, sorry. Sorry for all you newcomers. That's kind of important. But he's gonna grab this cherry, and he's gonna throw it in a specific spot, so that way after he collects the timepiece, he's gonna get blown up and die. So that way he doesn't have to go back to the hub to re-enter, because the loading zone for the next level is actually active. He just has to get in there. So he's gonna throw the cherry here, grab the timepiece, and then die. And a side effect of this is there's the 2 timers on their screen. The top one is the total time for the entire run. The top right one is for the level. And when you ever do a death skip like this breaks your level timer. So you sort of know when someone does a some kind of death skip correctly is when their timer turns green and it doesn't work anymore.
So yeah, the green frozen timer at the top right is the time that he got on the level that he just completed.
Oh, he's even doing the cutscene thing too.
You can kind of see it as he falls down here. A little cutscene's gonna play. Yeah, you can see it messed up there. Basically what he did, he abused the draw distance of his camera to make like a cutscene out of range to play until he fell down that well. Which obviously as you're falling down the well, you're about to go into another level. You don't really need to do anything. So it saves time over watching it as you're trying to travel around.
Yeah, it's a relatively short cutscene, like comparatively to other cutscenes. It's not that long, but it's yeah, again, we're getting to the point with Pat as more and more small optimizations are being found, and that's one of them.
And that's one of the things that a lot of people have been noticing not go for in tournament matches so far, because if you fail that, like, it's easy to store the cutscene. All you have to do is zoom in your camera and it won't play. But if you fall down the well and you don't play the cutscene, then you enter the next level, but the cutscene never plays, which means that the wall never actually goes down, which means you can't continue through subcon. You basically soft lock it, some of the levels in it.
Yeah, you can't do mail deliver. You can't do You can do mail deliver. You can't do the village rift. But like anything behind you is, or it unlocks the purple wall, right? The purple wall that's around the edge. So yeah, you can't do mail delivery or either of the time rifts. So it's actually insanely important that that cutscene gets triggered. So Kona, so you'll see this cutscene on Kona's side because I don't believe he's going for it. But you'll see, it's every cutscene where you destroy painting, or every time you destroy paintings like this, there always is a cutscene that destroys one of the firewalls, and there's 3 of them. There's one you have to do for contractual obligations to finish the level. So there's the cutscene there. It's like 5-7 seconds. It's not long.
It's 3. Yeah, it's right around 3.
Oh, it's 3 seconds? Oh.
Mm-hmm.
No, so that's what Kona's also not even doing the launch up the tree. So that's the normal way you have to get up the well if you're gonna do it.
Spy actually at the start of this level took time to grab a bit of extra pawns. This is not a place I usually see people grab extra. I guess he has way more pawn awareness than I do because, like, I'm never checking in subcon if I'm being completely honest. Because
Yes.
you don't need any pawns in subcon. You just need them by the time you get to Battle of the Birds, because there's some more levels in there that you have to buy. All the ones in subcon you don't have to buy, but he's been keeping track the whole time.
Yeah,
Crazy awareness.
They need an extra 230 to finish the run. They need 150 for Big Parade. They need 30 for, what is it, Train Rush? And then 50 for cheating the race.
Yes.
So they need an extra 230 pawns for the rest of the run. The big one being Big Parade, because that one's just insanely pricey. 150 pawns is actually a lot of pawns. For at least for a speed run. In casual play, you would get that in like one level or two. Like that's pretty easy.
Yeah, obviously pawn farming is not a thing that we've found to be worth our time yet. Who knows, maybe one day that'll be the strat.
Also, there's a Vanessa, like, complete Vanessa skip. There's just a hole in the wall that will just take you to the end of the level. It's like half an Easter egg and half an intended feature for little kids, but it's like half poking fun at the beta community for not finding a certain speed skip. It's so mean. We tried so hard, but we failed. So yeah, that's like one of the longest levels in the game, just completely cut down just because there's a hole in the wall. At this point, Spy, I think, is an entire level ahead of Kona. At least in real time. And actually, real time and in game time, yeah, he's about one level ahead.
Kona's either doing mail already, or... Yeah, I think he is doing mail.
Or... No, he's doing the Rift. Oh,
okay.
That's an interesting route.
Yeah.
Oh no, he's doing Vanessa. Okay, never mind.
Okay, so yeah, that's...
that was an interesting way to get there. I haven't seen anyone do that.
Yeah, it's something I haven't seen before. So, like, you can enter many different levels in Subcon through many different, like, spawn points. A lot of the levels, like Vanessa's Manor, the, like, loading zones required to enter them are accessible from any, like, act. And so he entered it through mail, which the only difference is that that trail that was directly in front of him, like, it starts doing, like, the mail sequence with Snatcher if you go directly forward, so he just went around it. That's not, like, really too big of a loss. But obviously it's an existing time loss.
That's why I also got early cycle on the Rift. That's not... I mean, if with practice, that's not insanely hard, but it's still pretty tricky to get right with all the movement perfectly. Oh, he got one of the good paint colors.
Yeah, I like this color that Spy got a lot. It's pretty good. Kona's still rocking the default color and hat.
Well, to be fair, he's only had, what, 2 chances at Rifts right now, so his chances are pretty low. And he also got a record, which I don't think Spy has a record right now, so Kona, unfortunately, has a few second time loss just to RNG.
I mean, probably more if we were counting the Down with the Mafia sandbags, but we didn't really.
I know Kona got 3, and more than likely Spy probably got 3 as well. But if he got 2,
pretty sure he did.
Yeah. But if he got 2, then that's in the free seconds. Oh, I think he also just did a DSJ right there too.
And a triple jump. He's going crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I'll let Flay take this.
Those are the 2 other movement exploits with this sprint hat that haven't like had too much room for us to explain about them yet. It's like the first one involves doing what he just did, where you have 2 jumps with sprint speed. The other one, you can do that front flip big sprint jump that I was talking about. If you do it right as you walk off of a ledge, for whatever reason, you're like reset for a moment.
Ooh.
Oh no.
He went for it. He's trying to be flashy now.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. There's a DSJ right there.
Basically what it is you can just do, like, not exactly you get 2 whole sprint jumps in the air, but you just, like, get 2 quick ones, like, right in a row. Like, there's, like, a certain amount of time you have you have to do each of them, but it's
You-
still a decent bit of height from a jump.
you
And
mash it when
similarly,
you walk off the ledge, and it's just like a certain time window afterwards, so you cut the first one short, but you get a second full one after it.
yeah. And similarly, if you do that same thing where you sprint jump off of an edge to like
Ah,
reset
there it
yourself
is.
for a second,
We got a record. Now
If
they're
you-
even.
if you do it to reset yourself off of a ledge, instead of doing a second sprint jump, if you do one sprint jump, then reset, and then do 2 normal jumps, then you're essentially doing a triple jump. And that's what he did to get a ton of height to climb up a tower a bit ago. Those are the other 2 movement exploits.
Yeah, TSJs are starting to get used now in runs more frequently, but it's still not like super required yet because it doesn't. None of them really save time like that much, if I'm correct.
They're just
Right.
optimization things that you can go for. They're not like super good. There's
Yeah.
some places where like if you miss a cycle in terms of like going up, you can use triple jumps as a backup to like skip like doing certain things.
Did he just do a mail dupe there, right?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So with mail delivery, you throw packages at certain of Snatcher's minions, but you can throw one basically in a specific way, and you can get one to trigger twice. So you get 2 counts instead of 1.
Yeah, like the mail packages like don't stop when they hit them, they just go until they land. So if you have it at an angle that it'll hit 2 of them in one shot, then it's just easy time save.
Kona's going for the safety strat here. Doing it off the spiders is definitely very tricky, just at least speaking from experience, because doing it off the side there, you don't have that much room to work with to wall climb onto the top of that tower, so what Spy did was technically easier but harder at the same time. He has more room to work with on the tower, but getting the room to work with on the tower is way harder.
Yeah, because getting a triple jump can be tricky. Like, it requires you to be able to see exactly where the edge that you need to jump off of is, and sometimes you can be going for it off of some pretty, like, weird-looking, like, surfaces, I guess, that it can be hard to tell where exactly you need to jump. But it is a pretty tight timing, so it takes a lot of practice to get used to.
Aw, so close, Spy. Spy had some really good movement here, got caught on one of the TPs. But overall, that's still... Well, he still has at least one more jump to do. There's another DSJ. I guess fun.
He did not even care. He went right past that penguin. That was the least I've ever seen someone care about that penguin.
Yeah, that was still very clean DBS, actually. It was just the one thing he caught on the TP, cost like 1 second, but otherwise it was pretty crisp. He didn't feel like doodling. I'm ashamed of you, Spy.
He's going for the big boy time. He's got to get that.
You gotta
40
doodle
mark.
something on the canvas every time. It's just a rule. It's an unspoken rule.
Okay, so now Spy should be entering into murder. Yeah, you can choose either of those there. Most people do murder. Doesn't make that much of a difference.
Yeah, you have to complete both of them to unlock the next section of stuff anyway.
And
Normally-
we're gonna intend in this route to complete all of the main acts in this world. Even though some of them are long, like this one is one of the longest levels in the run, Murder. And Big Parade is also pretty long. But they unlock 2 fast time rifts, and one of the finale levels that you get for completing all the main acts is also really short,
Yeah.
so it kind of makes up for the time that you spend in these long ones.
Yeah, it's not necessarily the level itself of Parade, it's the utility of the level that makes it so good to use in the run. It's also Spy is using a GameCube controller, so a minor thing as well, he gets to mash text slightly faster than Kona, because Kona's using a 360 controller. that's just something under the hood of how the game works and the default bindings for those controllers. It's just weird of how they work, so Spy's text boxes are going to be microscopically faster than Kona's, basically.
Yeah, basically, the GameCube controller, like, in the default bindings of the game, it has, like, less face buttons to work with than the other controllers do. Or, like, it has less things binded to certain buttons. So, like, there are 2 actions that both mash text that are both on the B button. And so it makes it just, like, a mega text mashing button. It's legal to, like, rebind it so that other controllers are set up that way. Like, in your .ini files.
Yeah. That was one of the huge things of, that's like controversy, but it was one of the huge debates at the beginning of this game, once that was really found out.
Yeah, because, like, there are ways to abuse, like, rebinding stuff. So there are rules, like, set on them, like, you can only have, like, certain actions set to a certain amount of buttons and stuff like that. But making it so that you have, like, a fast text button, such as Spy's, is legal. Because obviously, then other controllers would have a slight disadvantage.
Yep. Well, because the developers also made it so all the controller bindings are just straight in the files, and you could just edit them. Like I should say, Gears encourages anyone who basically has a weird controller setup that they've completely bound themselves to share it with them, and then they'll just put it in the game in the next update, so that way everyone has access to it. Yeah, and then the crows, yeah, so Kona's got these the crows with the keyboard, but if you change to your keyboard really quickly, you can actually skip the whole keyboard animation coming up on your screen. So you can just mash a letter and enter key, and it will just do it way quicker than the whole animation itself.
Yeah, basically, like, the way it works is, whenever you're on a controller, obviously there's no keyboard on your controller, so when it comes to typing stuff, it pops like a keyboard onto your screen like you just saw. But if you're on your keyboard, there's no need for that, you can just type it yourself. So it just leaves the text box, you can just, like, mash a letter, and then enter, and then just get out of it.
Can I say just a minor thing, and it's more of like speedrun history or route history for this level. I love that the now current optimal route is basically do everything we did in the original route backwards. Originally, if you just watched Spy do that level, like one of the first routes for that level was to do everything that he just did, but completely backwards. So do that fountain thing, and then go up on top of the building, and then stuff. And now the route is to go the other way and do everything intentionally. It's just a funny thing, at least from speedrun history perspective.
And the reason it ended up changing that way is because we found that, like, one of the properties of the things that you need to trigger that helps complete the level, like, if you do that part last, then, like, a certain, like, cutscene involving doing that thing doesn't play. Yeah. Whereas if you do it first, it does.
Well, you also get to hit the dog without having to touch the little DJ Grooves icon. So you can just immediately go hit the dog off the fountain and skip that whole animation as well.
Yeah,
and skip having to climb the fountain. So it actually makes sense that we do things backwards now from what we originally did. It's just one of those kind of funny things that just ended up happening.
It just doesn't make sense to me why it works. Like, the dog just shows up there without you ever have started the sequence to spawn him in, but whatever works, I'll take it. Oh, he's going...
Yeah, he went for it.
So there's, like, a weird trick that you can go for there to skip past that, like, gap, I guess, a little bit faster, where, if you, like... Basically, those platforms start moving forwards after a certain point. Like, there's like a trigger of when you're moving forward that causes them to move forward. It's like if you stand in a certain spot, then you can kind of predict where it's gonna be, and then you can just walk down and land on it, and then obviously that'll zoom you past the gap because they're going really fast. And I just got a little bit more panels to hit.
That was super good movement on those panels there. There's a lot of inputs that you're doing in that section really quickly, So just like it's easy enough alone just to misdo something. Oh, that's a neat trick. If you just hold the direction and the dive button after that, you can just fall through the floor. But that section with the panels is so high input that it's very easy just to screw up just because your finger slipped or you weren't paying attention.
Yeah, Train Rush is one of the like harder IO levels to grind. There's a lot going on, and it's pretty technical.
It's also
like,
faster on console.
Yes,
Fun fact. Yeah, they're playing on the PC 1.0 release, but the consoles are technically have a release that happens before that. So if you want to like version difference it's pre 1.0 on consoles. So they get an exclusive trick on Train Rush where if they set up something correctly, the last platform of the outside section will spawn too high, and then they can just land on it, and then they can just continue, and they can just skip like a few seconds of the outside section.
Yeah, similarly to what you saw Spy do, but it takes him even further.
Yep.
But that's something we haven't even really talked about this tournament, is like the differences of console version. There are a lot of levels on console that have like outdated like mechanics that make them actually faster, but overall the like console in general is slower, and that's why people run on PC. Like, there's a couple console runners, but not too many, and none in this tournament. So it's not really something that we talked about.
There's a minimum of what 2 levels that are faster on console. There's Heating Up Mafia Town and Train Rush that are faster on console. Heating Up Mafia Town's faster because at the end you don't have to go cannon up to the top of the map. It's just right there at the end, it's just right there at the end. You just pick it up.
Yeah, they just made the level end faster in that version.
Yeah, so you save a whole bunch of time of going up in the cannon, opening up the meal tray and stuff like that. So, and I'd probably say this Spy's about to do one of the most infamous time rifts. This is one of the easiest ones to screw up just because of the SDJs that you have to do. I don't think he's gonna get early cycle anymore because he had to make that turnaround. No, he still got it.
Barely, yeah. He got really good speed off of that dive boost, and he ended up getting it. He went for quote safe strat.
Sure, we can call it that.
Basically, like, there's a gap that he jumped over that skips certain things doing, like certain things you have to do. That makes it really easy to do it with an STJ, but he made it with like a normal slow speed double jump, which like you can barely make it, but it's harder to make, but it doesn't involve you inputting an STJ, so I guess you can define it as a safe strat or harder, either way. But
well, we got some pretty good movement on the panels as well. Didn't bonk or anything, so.
And the panels being like high input is because obviously you want to land on each of the panels as fast as possible. It's like if you're gonna jump, waiting for like you to go up and land for each of your jumps is gonna be a waste of time each time you do them. It's like if you jump and then dive and dive cancel, you can end your jump like going up earlier than you would normally. So you can just like do a little jump and then immediately cancel your speed and then land on the panels again. That's why it's so high input.
Kona is having a little trouble walking up the ramp there with his hats. I don't know if anyone saw that. That was pretty good. Had like a mini, like a sort of a mini like panic attack of trying to switch his hats.
This is another part of the insane utility of Parade. There is 44 pawns in this level for you to collect, so while it is expensive, it pays itself off at least a little bit. And there's a bunch of stuff where it's like basically an autoscroller. Like right now, there's a little blue timer at his top right where he has to wait for that to finish to start going for certain objectives. So he has time to collect a lot of them.
I should note here, oh yeah, go for it.
What he's doing right now, he spent all that time on tight ropes, and then he's gonna get stuck in soft lock like that, and then the game's like, oh, he's stuck, let me put him back into a safe position. So it stores the last spot that you were standing in that's like solid ground or safe, or where something can't like get you stuck again. And so you jump in a position next to that dial, and then you make it all the way to the other one without having stood in a position where the game thinks you're in a safe spot again. And so then you soft lock yourself on purpose and intentionally warp back to the other dial.
Yeah, and like, I mean, the timing for standing still is decently tight, where if he had smacked that dial and had waited for basically any period of time, the game would have reset his standing position to that spot next to the dial. So the moment he was done with that umbrella attack animation, he had to be moving, so that way the game wouldn't reset that safety spot. But that whole safety system can be abused in a lot of interesting ways.
Well, there is a spot on those dials where you can do the trick. Like, because, like, the dials, like, interact weirdly, I assume it's because whenever you hit it, it, like, spins the platform itself around. Which, like, moving platforms is something it's generally gonna think you're safe in. So,
Yeah.
like, if you stand on that part of the dial, it doesn't count it as a safe zone, I guess. It's really convenient that all of the stuff works out that way, that you can do that. I don't believe Spy has a safe position stored right now. He might.
He doesn't. I don't think he does.
I think he's just doing it normally. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
just doing it normally. You can warp again there at the end, but he just went for a normal route.
Oh, wow. Got on top of that rocket. Oh, he even got the... Ooh.
That
See
was
it.
very clean.
Yeah, if you do a dive boost off a sloped surface, you get increased speed. It was a bug in the beta version that actually one of the devs thought was really cool, so they decided to just keep it in because of the fact that it's just really cool. But
Yeah.
the timing for it is actually kind of tight to get a dive boost off a sloped surface, so it's not even something easily like a casual player could do. Also, I just realized Kona got a really good skin. The solid blue one. I approve of that one.
So Spy, as you can see, is frozen right here. In a moment, you're going to see himself exit the ice hat, which, because he has all those owls standing right there, he can abuse the like of their damage and knockback to kill him, and then knock him into this timepiece. So that's one of the good uses of the ice hat, because it gives you invulnerability, so you can kind of just store them there.
It's the same trick that he did in Contractual Obligations, which was the first subcon level.
Yeah.
It's the same one that you do here. He doesn't have to go back to the hub to then come back into this level to into that rift. He's also going to take more damage here because he's going to do another death trick after he's done with his rift.
So
And that's just to
the,
end the level faster.
yeah, for the one he did in Parade, it's useful because there's a time rift that spawns in it as soon as you complete it. So it's really convenient. You can just complete the level, die, and then immediately go back and go to the next thing. The reason this death is useful is because all of the rifts have roulettes at the end of them, as you noticed. That's what gives them their cosmetic items and stuff. And obviously if you die, then the roulette doesn't play, it just spawns you back in the level. So then instead he just exits the hub, which skips the roulette. If the roulette didn't exist, then this wouldn't be faster. But this skips all of that.
Yeah, that was a super clean death as well. Yeah, so he just stands in front of the timepiece, and the owls mimic your movement, so all he has to do is just stand in front of it, and then have the owls knock him into the timepiece, and that's it. He can just immediately save and quit. So now this is like another huge reason that the parade is useful, because you get this level, which is 7 seconds, 8 seconds long. It's stupid fast. Thanks, Parade.
Yeah. The point of that level existing is that that sets up for the final boss, which we're not going to do because it's really long. But like basically, whichever like of the two birds levels you perform better in, I guess, it decides them as the winner. And so like you can choose which of the two birds the final boss will be, and so that level acts as a way of like confirming it, I guess. So yeah, we just abuse that and take the 10-second timepiece and run. So now he's back to Mafia Town for CTR, cheating Mary, sorry. He didn't do this earlier on in the run because it was accessible by the beginning, but he didn't have enough pawns to do it, so he saves it for now.
Yeah, well, it's also useful for... He's going to have to do the other rift that's in the hub world of the mailroom. And doing this spawns him at the closest spot near that rift, so by doing this, he gets also a good spawn point.
Yeah.
And also it's a good spawn point to getting to the final level. So he's gonna do a huge dive boost here for extra speed and then get in there. You're not supposed to do that, like, let's be clear here. That was never intentional that you're supposed to do that. You're supposed to go to the 4th chapter, get a hat there, and then complete the level with it. But if you're fast, you could just do it.
Yeah, the intended way to beat it is to make a hat that severely slows down time, so that the Mafia guy has no chance of winning, because you can just keep him slowed down forever. That's why when he entered, it's like, oh, there's no way you're gonna beat this, but we'll let you try anyway. And he just destroys it.
Yep. Oh, this is also, so this is like one of the like most optimized rifts in the game. It's because it's getting to the point where there's just DSJs and TSJs just everywhere. So like that was super good. 16 is insane.
Yeah.
For at least for a tournament run, I would say that's pretty insane.
Also, Kona just died in Parade.
Without yeah, he went for the death skip but ended up missing, I think.
Yeah, so he is getting like a 45-second time loss from that. I don't know if we'll go for it again. It looks like he is.
Yeah. Yeah, so like
he needs to take a bit more damage.
For parades, for parade death, it's not actually as big of a time loss as one might think. You don't have to reset the entire level. Instead, what ends up happening is you just get to the next checkpoint. So each of those eyes on his timer is a checkpoint in the level. So if you die after that, you just have to go back to that checkpoint.
He's having trouble getting down to 1 health. He's not going to take enough damage in time.
Yeah. Oh
my gosh!
Kona, what are you? Kona is risking it for this biscuit.
I think he may just go for the timepiece. With how scary things are looking, yeah. I agree with that. He had so much things around him about to do damage to him.
Oh, Spy just missed the gate skip. There you go. Yeah, they just didn't put a wall high enough on there, so you can just jump over it. It's pretty good. But to note that lock, so that lock on the finale level, we're missing a hat from the standard perspective. You're supposed to get 12 more yarn to make a dweller hat, which basically makes invisible platforms visible and some visible platforms invisible. But we don't need that because there's straight up just a hole in the corner of the map that you can just go through. So you can skip that block, and that's the only time you're ever required to use that hat in the run if you were to not do this skip. So he's just gonna jump into this corner. There's just a hole in the wall. Don't worry about it, it's fine. And then climb to the top of the map and just jump over the top of the map. It's pretty good.
So now, as he gets on top, the roof of this level is a big arch, as you can see. There are certain points on this where, like, the slope starts interacting differently. So, like, right now, he's on the edge of it, and the slope is steep enough that Hat Kid won't stand up and you can continue sliding on it and keep full speed from it. If you were to go a little bit higher, like on the right, then the slope starts getting less steep, and then you're able to stand on it again. So that's like the safe zone of the slope, and right now he's in like...
Yeah, and there he's avoiding an invisible wall. If he was to just coast along this side of the finale, just all the way to the end, he would bonk on an invisible wall and have to go all the way back to the start of the level and do that. So by moving out and then sliding basically back down, he's able to just skip the invisible walls and keep going all the way through.
Yeah, there's some weird stuff like that you have to avoid just because there's like bad things up there, like invisible walls and holes that you have to go around.
There's bad things up there.
Yeah, that's the best way to describe it. It's a very evil trick. It kills a lot of people's runs, and it's really unfortunate.
And he's just going to teleport inbounds by hitting a cutscene trigger that just teleports him inbounds. Conveniently. It just... We actually got an explanation for the dev as to how this happens. We'll actually, hold on. We'll see if what he does here. Okay, he's not going to go for the net. We got a triple. That's pretty good. Mustache Girl has 5 health here, and getting more than probably 2 hits is really good. So that was actually a pretty good fight.
Yeah, you generally, optimally, you want to finish it in 2 or 3 attacks. So, like, there are some slower attacks that she can do, but, like, there are a couple of them. The reason he's able to get doubles and triples is because she has, like, slow animations getting into them where she, like, stands still for a moment before starting the next attack. So if you just keep swinging at her, you'll continue to hit her again before she even has time to start the next one. But then the combo ends where she does an attack where she immediately teleports away from you.
that was super clean on the first fight. So so what Spy's doing here in every so often, he's grabbing the brewer hat, and the brewer hat will track enemies if you throw it close enough to them. So if he gets a good enough distance while she's in the air, he can get an extra hit off. Which, I mean, we'll say that's probably not intentional because of how picky it is of an angle. But he can get so many more hits off, and then he can also skip like a bunch of in-between phase stuff by throwing a brewer hat while she's shooting the beams from really far away. Because you're supposed to run at her and she's supposed to teleport away and keep doing it, but he can throw a brewer hat at her from a distance and skip all of that.
So this thing he's entering right now is actually pretty important. So this is like the biggest instance of RNG in the game. She has these attacks right now. She didn't do it. Right now she's just doing attacks normally, but
no
he's getting
way!
Lucky.
No way!
Okay, so finally he gets one.
Jeez.
Usually she decides to shield herself and you'll have to wait for a cherry to hit her, but Spy only got 2 cherries.
2 cherries! Oh my gosh. That's insane.
By the way, Spy is on 44 pace right now.
Yeah, he is.
I was gonna say whether or not he got a 44 was depending on how good his cherries were, but he got really good RNG, so...
Is he close to PB pace? He's got a 44-51. Could this possibly PB? It'd be really close. If his next phase goes perfectly, it'll be really close.
It would... I don't know. It would have to be, like, absolutely perfect final phase for it to be... For it to be a PB. I just think as it is, he'll probably get like a 44-55.
Let's see. Nah, I don't think with that he'll get it.
Yeah, he didn't get the greatest RNG there. He missed out on some double hits.
And he got hit there. Yeah. So this will be probably 45 then, right?
He's still close. Missed it by a second. He got 45-01.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Darn, that was really close.
He had a pretty bad RNG on final phase. He didn't get any double hits, so he did miss that on the 44. Yeah,
that's
45.
Still pretty. That's a really good run. That's 10 seconds within PB for Spy. That's insane. What a run.
Ridiculous consistency. This is what I've been talking about. Like, going from last run, he gets to 44-58 in his first tournament match. Next tournament match, he gets 45-01. It's crazy.
What a genius Spy. Showcasing some true top-tier play. And then Kona's entering finale now. He's about to do his own finale skip.
Hello.
So let's see if he gets the slide. Yeah, you can just mash the dive button actually up there on the wall because the walls are so close that Cat Kid will just immediately turn around and start wall running on it. Let's see if Kona goes for the slide. Go for slide strats? Yeah, he's going for slide strats. Why wouldn't he go for slide strats?
Yeah, I believe he has learned full slide, so I think he should be going for the optimal route, which involves dodging the invisible walls and the holes.
Yeah, so right here at the next one, he'll...
There's one coming up here. Get that.
There you go. And also, full slide strats aren't actually that hard to learn. There's actually some pretty easy visual cues to know where they are. So yeah, Kona's doing his full slide strat.
Now, once you've made it past those things, all you need to do to ensure you get good slides is to, like I said, get back up to the safe zone. So, like, he slid over that little, like, line on that block, which is kind of like a visual cue of exactly where the safe zone crosses with the danger zone, I guess. Like, where the slope stops becoming too steep for you to slide on.
Actually, let me get back to that cutscene for a second. So actually, we talked to one of the hat devs, and during testing, he was trying to test the cutscene trigger and ended up testing it out of bounds. So that doubles pretty good. So he made the cutscene like way big and ended up making it go just tiny bit out of bounds. So that's why they have to hug the wall when you're trying to go back in bounds. That was a pretty good fight from Kona. It was a 3 attack.
Kona is not that far off from his own PB.
Yeah,
he's a 49, and he's cutting close to sub 50.
If he has a pretty good finale fight, he could PB off this. Yeah, so this is what I was saying earlier that Spy skipped by throwing that brew hat, because if you have to make her teleport a certain amount of times, or make her take damage to skip it, and he just goes to make her teleport a lot. So this is the intentional way. You're supposed to just Mafia Ball everything, but if you can space it perfectly, you don't have to wait for the Mafia Ball while she's doing the laser attack. Oh, he got unlucky. He got 2 attacks. Alright, let's see how many cherries he gets.
I'm betting more than Spy.
2 cherry is pretty rare. Alright, let's see. She's gonna get immediately shielded here. Oh, no. Ooh. You get 3 attacks, that's not bad. Possibility of a 2 cherry. Oh no, 3 cherry minimum. Darn. Three cherries, that's about average. Let's see.
Yeah, he can't PB this run, but he can go really close to it, like within 30 seconds, I think.
He can still get sub 50, but he can't PB anymore, but he can still get sub 50.
Yeah, he can get sub 50 with a really, really good final phase. It'd be really close. Yeah, he's entering the final phase at the same time as Spy, plus 5 minutes.
So like save it all.
Spy started at 44.22 and Kona started at 49.22 is what I mean.
Maybe?
No, he missed it.
He missed it, yeah.
A good thing to remember is if you're in final phase, this is like a little thing you can mess around with when you're playing in PB pace runs, is if you want to beat a minute milestone, you have to get the last hit of final phase at that minute 44, because getting from the last hit to the timepiece is 15 seconds. So yeah, he missed it just by a little bit, not quite a sub 50, but that's still really close to his PB for him. That was
10 seconds. Like, this is insane for a tournament run.
It was like 30 something seconds off his. Plus, he missed the parade death. He missed the parade death, which is 45 seconds alone.
Yeah.
And
true.
then, and he didn't do it second try either. So that's like, without that parade choke, that would have actually been a PB for him, because that was a huge time loss alone on its own. I think we're getting Kona in here now. I remember Spy saying that he probably wouldn't be able to interview. But I do think we'll be able to get Kona.
Hello, Kona.
Hello.
Yo.
Hello. Alright, Kona, answer me one question.
Yes.
How hard were you panicking on your second attempt at the end of Parade?
Oh, dude, I was so disappointed.
You looked like you were having trouble taking some damage there, and then after you got to 1 hit point, you were trying to set up for the death again, and you were just having also trouble getting everyone in position, so you just panicked and went for the timepiece.
I had the parade, and then, you know, the damage and everything. Yeah. And the first attempt, I actually was on the wrong pole, and I realized it a little too late, so I had to rush over there. But yeah, I mean, I shouldn't have gone for it in retrospect.
You gotta risk it for the biscuit sometimes.
True. You know, I played my best. I mean, 50-07, that's really close to my PB, and I'm really proud of how I did.
Yeah, I was gonna say, other than that parade choke, because failing the death is like 40-45 seconds alone. And that's 45 seconds is assuming that you get it second try, which you didn't. You just grabbed the timepiece second try. So that's like a 55-second time loss right there.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so if you could, and you still came that close to PB. It's like, that was a pretty good run. Other than that, that would have been like PB pace. If you can get that.
I mean, I played my best, and that's all I can do, and congrats to Spy on the win. He's a really talented player. 45-01 in a race is just insane.
He has ridiculous consistency.
But I look forward to working my way through losers, hopefully. That's gonna be fun.
Yeah, getting around to sub 50 times, that'll last you quite a while in losers bracket, I think.
That's good to hear. And of course, I'll be practicing more. I didn't have a lot of time to practice today, but I'll be sure to always keep doing my best. But yeah, I mean, I didn't go for contractual obligations. I didn't go for that. And I also clipped a cherry in the tree. And I messed that up.
Yeah, I remember that.
I was really confused at first until I realized I couldn't get the cherry out. So I just went ahead and did it normally. But yeah, I had a good time tonight. Of course, I appreciate Speed Gaming hosting this tournament. There's a lot of great races going on in this.
Yeah, it's gonna get more and more exciting as we get later on in the bracket. We're just getting started. We have a lot of good winners matches that are gonna be coming up soon. Not exactly soon, but like as people in losers bracket start to catch up. That was one of the last winners bracket matches that I think we'll be playing for a while. So yeah.
Okay.
Spy is now in round 4 against Sewer, and Kona, you are. Let me find you.
I'm in competing against CFSM.
Yeah.
So, I don't got anything else. I think anyone else want to add?
Not really. I said all that I had to say.
Congrats to Spy. Good job, almost getting a 44 again. That's crazy. I wish I could get a 44 at all. I probably... Dude.
Yeah, he's crazy good at this game.
I have consistency, but like my consistency is like 45 seconds like below that. Like I consider myself a consistent player that stands a good chance in this tournament, but it's like he's just on his own level.
If Spy can keep pulling that out, then yeah, he's gonna be a tough person to beat.
Yeah, because like all of the times that he's gotten in tournament races so far have been like the best times anyone's got at all. Like no one else has got a 44. No one's beat 45-01 because obviously it's really close. But we've yet to see a lot of the other big top runners get some races in. There hasn't been too much winners matches.
Alrighty, well, I think that about does it for us. So thanks everyone for tuning in.
And if you're interested in more, the next one we have is actually tomorrow. We have a couple tomorrow. We have 2. They're a couple early on losers matches. This one's in GMT. And there's one at 7:30 CST tomorrow. They're really close to each other, so they'll probably be going on at the same time, actually. But yeah, more coming up soon, if you're interested in this kind of stuff.
Yeah, and then you can see the bracket link in chat if you want to check out the current standings of all the players.
Other than that, I think that's all for us. Thank you guys for watching.